Okay, hello. Welcome. Welcome to SUB-O-THON number 3. Those numbers are bumping up. We're up to 19. So appreciate it to any of the newcomers to the channel. As you can see, we are getting things worked out slowly, but it's coming together. Yes, we had to move last week's stream just due to life. Things get in the way. So we're doing hopefully 2 this week to make up for it. But, it is what it is. So, for those of you who don't know, I'm Sheldon with Gearheads, and for these streams, we're going to be focusing just kind of looking at different plugins for the most part. I think for this episode, because it's a little impromptu, we're going to be going over a plugin I have a fair bit of experience with. I kind of my go-to one, and maybe I'll talk about my Charvel here for a bit as well. We are hot, so my apologies for that. But yes, so that is the plan for this week's stream. And yeah, it should be fun. So let's bump it right up here. And the plugin we're going to be looking at for today's stream is going to be the STL Tonality Andy James signature plugin. I'm a huge fan of Andy James. The guy rocks out real hard. If you haven't heard of him, I highly recommend giving him an earshot because his solos will probably blow you away like they did me. And this is his signature plugin that he came out with STL Tonality, and I own this, and I will say it is quite awesome. Usually this is what I default to when I'm just practicing or jamming around the house. It's got plenty of nice features, and I think my favorite one is the one that's going absolutely apeshit crazy right now. Let's see if we can fix that. Right here, the tuner. Just overall, the reason why I love this thing so much is just the placement. You don't actually have to click anything to go to the tuner, no matter what screen you're on. It's always there, and I really like that. But yeah, basic. Run down the main menu here. Basic kind of setup. You got your in volume for input, your gate, tuner, as previously mentioned. You have your amp selector, which gives you 3 amps to choose from that Andy is very fond of. I believe this is I'm not quite sure what all of them are based off of, but these are your 2 high gainy ones, that's for sure. You're going to be using them for your power leads and such, and this is clearly a Vox AC. What is it? If you look at the cabs here, yeah, it's a Vox AC30, I believe. That you're using for the simulator here on the amp, so that's pretty nice. And then you have next is the cab select, which you'll have the 3 cabs that he uses for his stacks, and then an exit IR, or an exit IR where you can upload your own IRs. And this is what I tend to use most of the time. I love to use this Marshall 1968 greenbacks with using the SM57 mic, and it does absolute wonders. I was using the cabs here for a bit, but then a buddy of mine, Michael, who you all know, are well aware of, gave me a bunch of these plugin or IRs, and this was on it, and I fell in love with it as soon as I turned this one on, and now it's my default. And if you haven't noticed, so you may be able to, you can switch the screen between your stomps, your amps, and your cabs, and your effects, which is the next screen here. But what's really nice is you can actually switch any of the cabs or amps while you're in any screen without having to go back. And that's another reason why I just absolutely love this plugin, because if you're playing guitar like me in a studio environment kind of like this, and you don't actually have the analog or physical equipment that you're using, you're using plugins and such, the less screens you have to go to make changes, the better. And I don't think there's a single guitarist in my position who would argue that. And hands down, this is one of the only plugins I've seen that lets you do this. In every other plugin, they have the same stuff or anything that's included with this, but you have to go to the individual screen and actually then physically do it, as opposed to this one where you can change your cabs and amps. I wish they had more. Not gonna lie, if anything, there should be more. But it's understandable why there's not, because having individual pedal control for the effects and the pre effects it'd be a bit much, and I know that for a fact because I haven't completely done it yet. But what I like to do is I have a little mixer that I can show you in another stream, and I now have the Line 6 MIDI foot controller. So hypothetically, what I can do is I can't do every single one because there's 6 pedals included with this plugin. But for the main pedals that I use, I can hook up to a mixer on my desktop here, and then have my foot switches for them down below. So I don't have that set up completely yet, just because unfortunately none of my MIDI equipment was built compatible with Cubase. All you Ableton users out there, go screw yourself. No hate to the Ableton users. It's a great DAW. I just personally prefer Cubase. But one of the downsides of that is everything has to be, I have to program all my controls manually. And I just haven't gone through the painstaking task of assigning each knob an actual physical knob on my mixer yet. One of these days I'll do it, and I'll actually might do a stream of me doing that, just because it can be a bit of an annoying process if you aren't overly familiar with your DAW, and I don't have the most experience with the MIDI controllers. This is not new, but I'm not the most veteran person using Cubase right now by any means. Cubase is fairly new to me. I think I've only been using it for about a year now. So, but yes, continuing on with the plugin. Yes, so you have your stomp pedals, which he has a little overdrive here. His Andy James Reverent signature. What preamp pedal, I think it is. Oh, I'm getting just a little bit of feedback. Something's going on here. And there we go. And then a routing pedal. This thing is pretty awesome, I will say. I've had this for a while, and I haven't done it justice by digging into it enough. Just because some of the more generic settings on here are really awesome, and honestly, all I like to use when I tend to explore plugins, it's unfortunately not this one, just because I've had it for it was like the first one I got, and this was one of the things that kind of I skipped over when I first got it. But it is pretty awesome. I will say that the few times I have used it, it tends to be pretty awesome, and then I tend to mess with it too much, and then I ruin what I had previously set, and I never save any of my presets, unfortunately, which is a bad habit to have. If you are just starting out with this, or even if you have been doing this longer than I have with the plugins and stuff like that, save your presets as you go. It's like a video game. It's nice to have a place to fall back to if you've gone down the rabbit hole on your delay pedal a little bit too much, and you've totally messed with what you had going a few minutes earlier. But this overdrive is solid, I will say that. It's very, very straightforward. You just have your tone knob, your balance knob, and your drive knob, but it really does the trick, I will say that. And I have loved using it as far as the plug-in overdrives that I've used go. It's one of my favorites. The amp screen, as I showed you, basic amp controls that you'd get on the majority of the plugins. I like that they don't actually limit you compared to the amps that they're based on, so that's really nice. Also, I didn't show you this. In this screen here, you've probably noticed the on buttons. So you can turn off entire sections of the plugin if you're not using them or don't want to. Maybe you're not using the greatest PC and your DAW is having a bit of latency, and you don't actually need a reverb, lo-fi pedal, or delay pedal for what you're doing. You can just turn them all off. And I'm not 100% sure if it will drastically increase your performance, but I can say that turning them off should increase it by a little bit, at least, I would imagine, because you're shutting off an entire section of the plugin itself. But anyways, I digress. Your cabs, very simple. The one thing I don't like about this, I will say, is in other plugins I've used, when you're dealing with the IRs and such, you usually have like a little mic that you can use to adjust the placement. Generally when you find IRs anyway, they're done by distance from the cab, so it's more or less it quick loading them for you when you click and drag. This one where you actually have to go into your DAWs and then individually pick up the mic distance by the IR itself, which isn't too inconvenient. Just like compared to Neural DSP, for instance, that has that exact mic feature that I'm talking about where you can click and drag it, you get used to it if you're coming off of a plugin with that. I will say that. But overall, nice. Yeah, representing Andy Jane's place of birth here at the UK. If you haven't realized, if you haven't heard him speak, he is British. And I will say this: I was probably listening to him as a guitarist for about 6 months before I actually sat down and watched an interview and heard him talk. And I don't know why. Well, he has a very American biker vibe to him, so maybe that's why. But I was blown away when I found out he was from the UK. And then we have the effects board here. We have a basic delay, which is not bad. I'm going to be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of it. I don't use it too much when I'm using this plugin. If I was going to use a delay, I would actually probably load up another plugin as well and then use that as my delay. But this one isn't terrible. It has all the basic features you have, but again, and I'm very neural DSP heavy when it comes to my plugins, but these videos unfortunately aren't sponsored by them. Wink, wink. It would be nice if they were maybe someday, but when you do get into the neural DSP plugins, if you've used a lot of these amp simulators or various guitar VST plugins, they have certain things that are included on them that once you get used to, it's really crappy going back to plugins that don't have those features. And one thing that Neural DSP blows out of the water compared to all other VST plugins that I've encountered so far is their delay pedals and the interface for them. They look so nice and they work so well, and everything is just where it needs to be. And I've gotten even used to the layouts because they're similar layouts. So when I come back to delay plugins like this, it's not that I don't actually like them and they're not even that bad. It's just I'm a Neural DSP plugin guy now, unfortunately. So I tend to just stick with the certain presets and effects that I have kind of learned to mess with, and unfortunately the delay pedal doesn't come into consideration too much with this guy anymore. But it is what it is. The reverb pedal on this guy, though, this thing is absolutely amazing. I love it. You could spend a decent amount of time in here messing around, and it is just like, we'll just give you a listen. So no delay. And then nice little. Okay, my pinch harmonics are out of practice with this guy. There we go, something nicer. There's a little something with it. But yeah, hands down favorite reverb pedal that I've used so far. I'm not going to say it is the best one. I know there are better ones out there. I've probably even used some of the better ones out there, but this just personal favorite. I absolutely love it. And then we have probably one of the more interesting things about this plugin, and wasn't really expecting it when I got an Andy James signature plugin. A lo-fi pedal. Now this is cool, and it is exactly what you think it would be. And so here, we'll play just a little, like... Oh, Christ. My apologies, people. We don't have quick control set up for all of this yet. OBS is weird. I'll just say that. Yeah. What do we got? And then we lo-fi it. And like I said, it does exactly what you think it would do. It puts that old-timely lo-fi kind of feel on it, so you can get some pretty cool stuff. And it's got a little gain setting, so let's crank that up. But I feel like everybody really thinks what they want with a lo-fi pedal. Let's turn on the AC 30. Oh, what can we do here? Oh, that's cool. You can do some interesting stuff with it. Admittedly, I think it's really cool, but again, well, not again, but I don't really use it. Not gonna lie. Yeah. Yeah. The delay and the lo-fi don't use too much with this. Same with the stomp here. They are really really cool features, and I'm not trying to crap on them in any means. The reasons why I don't use them is just mainly because when I use this plugin, it's a lot for faster stuff. I would say, I guess, maybe soloing. I've been working a lot on like individual soloing on improvisation, and I find I use this a lot for that. So I'm using a lot more gainy tones and stuff, and I don't really like delay on my gainy tones and lo-fi. It'd be cool if I was writing more music, I would say, and I'd totally use it for intros, 100%. I'd come in with a cool lo-fi riff and then just like turn that off and just have the drop come in with the intro riff, and it would just sound. It would be a really cool thing to mess around with that way. I don't make a lot of music, but publishing wise, at least, I don't know, play music all the time. So it's weird to say that I don't make a lot of music, but I don't consider myself an actual artist, and I'm not releasing tracks by any means. At least not right now. That could happen. You never know. But and I guess the final thing that I forgot to mention was just your output volume there, but I'm sure you all kind of noticed that and knew what that was. Essentially why I skipped it over. Oh, okay, so this is the on and off switch for your gate. Yeah, so you can hear my distortion coming in, but noise gate. The pickups on these bad boys are real hot. I'll say that. I love this Charvel. Call her Charlotte, for all those wondering. You will learn the names of all my guitars eventually throughout the streams. I have named everyone because they are my babies. And any guitar owner knows exactly what I mean, especially if you get over 6 or 7 guitars. You really start to understand what I mean. But yeah, actually, if anyone's watching and you are getting to this point, if you do have a guitar or any instrument, feel free to drop what said instrument is in the comments down below, along with the number, and let's see who in the small community that is Gearheads has the most music instruments in their collection. Just a friendly competition between YouTube guitar enthusiasts. Right now, I think I am at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. 9 instruments, and if you count MIDI controllers, 2, 3, 4, 5, 15. So that's not terrible. But if you don't count MIDI controllers, that's understandable. They don't really do anything on their own. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. And if you have a DAW setup and that's how you're making your music, MIDI controllers are your fucking best friend. I will say that. You get a lot of use out of them. They're pretty cool. And I will probably continue to do some review videos on those as time progresses. One thing about this channel is we like to stick with newer gear when we're doing our reviews and stuff. We have plans to go over our actual collection that we've had for a number of years, but as any guitarist knows, when it comes to gear, the newest gear is always your newest baby, so it tends to draw most of your attention. But yes, we do have a lot of stuff to cover, and yeah, let's just go over a tone or two. I found this solid backing track that I want to do a little synthwave riff over. For any guitarists out there that are like me and just kind of like to jam over backing tracks to work on your improvisation, I'm going to just trying to pull it up now while I'm talking. If you haven't checked it out already, check out Elevated Jam Tracks on YouTube. The guy is absolutely amazing, and he comes out with backing tracks mainly for major and minor keys like every few days, and he's been a godsend in trying to just work on my improvisation. So I highly recommend checking out his channel. This is where I got this track, and yeah, let's just load up a tone here and go from there. This is what I like to usually set with, and then change to my previously mentioned favorite IR. I love this thing. 3 inches seems good. And where are we? How are we for time? Perfect. We are in a great position. Have we gotten any viewers? We had 1 viewer. Well, to whoever that viewer was, you are my favorite subscriber. On the subscriber count note, we are up to 19. We're getting closer and closer, people. We want to get those numbers up. Let's hope by the end of the year we can get 100. Ooh, keep it low. Keep the ball low, and we won't disappoint ourselves. 100's not that many people. I mean, try to get my grandma to subscribe. There's 20, right? Also, the foot review, the Line 6 foot switch MIDI, Line 6 MIDI foot controller review is in the works. Bit of things going on just in RL at the moment, so I haven't had as much time as I want to edit the video, and we do want trying to make these things look a little bit decent and not like just some random guy throwing videos up on YouTube. So editing is key, and I don't like editing, so it has taken some time, but it will be coming hopefully sooner rather than later. Anyways, let's get on to this. If you do have the Andy James thing and you want to follow along with the tone I'm using, excuse me, normally I stick with his custom presets. You can see here that they're, no, excuse me, sorry. You can see here that STL has their own amount of tones they've come up with, a decent amount, and they're not bad. There's his custom presets, and then his, I guess, his main presets. This was really big when he came out with a single Arrival, which is why you have the signature tone for that. One thing I find about Andy James is, unfortunately, is when he comes out, I think he has another plugin. I'm not 100% sure on that. No, he doesn't know. I'm thinking of someone else. But, so yeah, never mind. The story isn't relevant. But, so what I like to use is this Unleashed tone, which by itself is really, really awesome. Let's give it a second. Like, just pretty solid. What I also like to do is throw on motherfucking reverb. Bring the length down to 3 seconds. The default controls here on the actual reverb itself are pretty nice. And let's see what that sounds like. And if you don't have the IR, which you might not, the default that it has here, he has, I think it comes with like 20 or something custom IRs that he set in addition to these cabs and the cabs and such. So it's defaulted to one of those, and it's not bad by any means, but there's 17 of them. But like I said, I am absolutely in love with this guy. Yes. And I just love what it does to the tone. like I said, really, really like it. Anyways, I think that's about everything that I could go. You got your routing. Uh, these are copy, paste, redo controls, and undo. The undo. Okay, I will say this. So this is really, really, really handy, and I should have mentioned it sooner, especially when I was complaining about saving presets all the time and stuff like that. This is so freaking helpful if you find that solid tone and for whatever reason you continue with your exploration of the plugin and you mess that tone up to all God knows what and you forget what your actual settings initially were. This is so great for just undoing all of that and going back to where you were like 5 minutes ago. And it's a godsend if you're like me and you don't constantly save presets like a video game, because honestly sometimes that's how I feel with Neural DSP. I'll get lost in there and I lose all the work I put into it, but it is what it is. And it looks like you can add your own bank to have one of these, so you can have Shelly's custom tones, but I haven't really worried too much about that, and I'm not going to dive into that too much because I don't think a lot of people would necessarily need that. I would not have a problem with just saving my presets here. Oh, you also have this, which is something, again, I don't use too much, but you have a mixer mode where you can essentially connect. Let's see here. Let's go to normal. See what we sound like. Pretty much the reason why I actually got one of these felt wraps in the first place was this plugin. This is awesome. I never really explored this too much. I'm going to be honest. I always forget that it's up there. I'm always so focused down here that I forget that's actually up there. And I never click it. This is amazing. So you can mix two tones together and then individually turn on and off the cab or amp for said part. And you can even change the... Oh, how's that work? Presets for that. Oh, look at that, eh? This is cool. As long as if we add some gain to it and we de-blend it, just a little bit of gain. We need even less gain. That's really neat. I'm actually going to have to spend more time with this. I don't think I'm going to be going to my little synthwave jam sesh right now because I am falling in love with this. How do I... Let's go back to my preset. Can I... Oh, this is so cool. Okay, yeah, we're turning this on. soul comes in. Yeah, that is Elevated Jam Tracks newest backing track. Dude, driving synthwaves rock guitar backing track in A minor. Super fun. If you were, turn that down. If you're like me and enjoy just improvising over backing tracks, trying to improve your skill, that is a great one to focus on if you are a synthwave fan. Really fun. There's not too many people making synthwave backing tracks, and sometimes finding the key to them can be difficult if you're as shittily trained by recognizing music as by the ear as I am. So it's nice when you find even individual songs at this point. And yeah, if anybody here does listen to synthwave and plays guitar and has some synthwave backing tracks, feel free to link them in the comment, because numbers are few and far between for good ones. And recently, my most favorite one, for whatever reason, the guy took the video down off YouTube, so you can't even watch it there. He's no longer selling it on Bandcamp, so he's just shut it down. I can't even. It's gone. Should have bought it while I could. So support your artists while you can, because you never know if they're around, how long they're going to be around. But yeah, I think I'm gonna call it there. We're at we're at a decent amount of time for the stream. So if you've watched this whole thing, good on you, bro. Good on you. Thank you for helping out, and hopefully by the next time I sign on for the stream, we'll be in the 20s. We're getting there, people. Let's do it. Let's keep it up. Anyways, this is Sheldon with Gearheads signing off. See you next time. And like always, if you have any suggestions for content you want to see on these streams, feel free to leave a comment down below. And while you're down there, feel free to also like and subscribe and check out our Instagram page. It's coming along nicely. Anyways, so long and have a good night, people.